Good morning, everyone. This is Legacy School Year 7 History, our lesson number 12. We will be talking about the feudal system of England. The objectives of our lesson will be to understand what the social hierarchy in England looked like. We will understand what feudalism is, and we will learn about the Domesday Book. All right, so we have already discussed the word hierarchy before. In every society, there used to be a hierarchy with the most important, most powerful person on the top. If you remember the ancient Egyptians or the Roman civilization also had an emperor on the top. So a hierarchy is a system in which members of an organization or society are ranked according to relative status or authority. So their power, okay, how powerful they are, okay, and how important they are compared to their importance they are on the top. Okay? If they have more importance, they are above others. Okay, so if you take a look at the this feudal pyramid of power in the Middle Ages, feudal, we will be talking about this expression a little bit further on. So you can see this pyramid on the top, that's the king. And if you follow the red arrow, the king gives land to the nobles, okay? You follow the other arrow, the nobles give land, or with another term, fief, okay? Fief means land that is given to somebody in return, something else. The nobles give land to the knights, and the knights give land and protection to the peasants, right? They are under, or they are the lower class in this social pyramid. Also, of course, there were slaves in the medieval English society, but they were classless, so they would not even fit in this hierarchy. So they would be pretty much under the peasants. Now, what does each class do for getting land from the social class above them? As you can see, the arrows going on the left-hand side. The peasants give food and services to the knights. The knights give protection and military service to the nobles, and the nobles give money and provide knights to the king to protect the king. Right, so this would be this pyramid-like hierarchy. This society is a predominant social structure all over Europe, also in the countries that are on the continent, not just in England. Now, the members of the society, as we mentioned, a vassal, okay, I would like you to remember the word vassal. The vassal is a holder of land by feudal tenure on conditions of homage and allegiance, right? Or basically anyone who was below you in the medieval society was your vassal. So for example, the king on top. The king's vassal, let's go back a little bit. The king's vassal were the nobles. The nobles had their vassals as the knights, and the knights' vassals were the peasants. So any vassal would be a person who got land from the class above, and these vassals have to do certain services for the land that they received. The barons are the highest rank in the medieval society, holding land on behalf of the king. So it is not their land, they are just holding it. The bishops are, of course, Christian clergymen who had the authority or the power over a large number of priests and churches, and they also got land from the king. Peasants are, of course, the lowest member of the medieval society, working on the land, so basically farmers, okay? Another important vocabulary, we already mentioned the word fief, F-I-E-F, which is another term for land, and then fealty. Fealty is a pledge of loyalty from a vassal to their lord, so each class pledges fealty or pledges homage or loyalty that they are going to serve this person or these people above them. Okay, so the peasants to the barons or the peasants to the knights to the barons, and the barons to the king. Hereditary, we already mentioned this earlier in previous lessons. For example, the monarchy was a hereditary system. The son became a king after his father died. So being a king being a king or a queen was a hereditary title. So it passed through a family, and of course land and titles like the earl or king were hereditary titles, passing on from father to son, from family to family. Now let's talk about feudalism. This is a this is a social system which is the dominant social system in medieval Europe. I already mentioned it to you earlier. The king holds all the land, okay, and he kept about a quarter of the land for his own use and gave the rest to his tenants in chief. Okay, so this land was not given for good. Okay, the barons and the bishops were basically tenants of this land. They took care of this land. Now the tenants in chief, these were the barons or the bishops, they held the lands from the king in exchange for military service. Okay. Now the under-tenants, who were mainly knights, they were tenants of the nobles, the barons, okay, and the bishops as well. All right, and the peasants were obliged to live on their lord's land, so they had to live on the lord's land. They also paid rent, and they produced the food. Now, villeins are richer peasants, and borders or cotters are poorer peasants. Just two more terms that you're going to find in your book as you are reading through these pages. Now, why is this system so dominant in the Middle Ages? Now, feudalism protects the interests of the king. Okay, if he gives away too much land, and the barons build too many castles, they can become too powerful. Okay, so the king did not give away too much land. Okay. He created a system in which he has all the land. He just lends it, okay, to the other people under him. He allows them to use this land. Okay, so this system keeps the nobles loyal because they have a lot to lose. Okay, if they don't stay loyal, the king can take away the land. Now the king needed the knights that the nobles could provide as well, so it was very good for the kings to give that land or lend that land to the nobles, because the nobles provided knights in times of war to protect the king in any necessary situation, in any dangerous situation. Now, in this system, in return for the grant of land from a lord, each level had to, okay, one, swear to be loyal to their lord, and this is called doing homage, okay, and swear to provide service for their lord. So this was a system in which every social level depended on the one above. So basically everybody depended on the king directly or indirectly. Okay, everybody was using the king's land, right? So in this social structure, the king was protected. The king got protection by everybody underneath. Okay, all right. So this is why feudalism was the dominant system and protected the interest of the king. Now, what service did each level have to provide for their lord? Okay, so as we said, that every single as we are going up level by level on this social pyramid, every level provides a service to the level above. So the peasant's service was to work on their lord's land for an agreed number each week. Right? A knight's service was to fight for his lord. A tenant-in-chief's service, so these were the nobles, the tenant-in-chief's service to provide an agreed number of knights for the king for up to 40 days a year. So each baron had about 20 knights. So as you can see, every single level had to provide something for the level above. Okay, the peasants down below, they are providing the food to the level above, and the level above is the knights, or the knights they provide protection. They give service to the lords, to the nobles, and the nobles use these knights, okay, to lend them to the king. On top of all that, of course, the food and the protection, there were also taxes and rents that had to be paid to the lord for the use of land. All right, so let's talk about the Domesday Book. Now, 2 years before William died, he ordered that a survey should be written detailing the possessions of every settlement in England. Now, in itself, it's a wonderful thing, obviously, because it provided us with an amazing insight of what kind of settlements and what kind of things people had at that time, what a village or a town looked like. It gave us excellent details about the English village and towns in the 11th century. But the thought behind this book was very selfish, because William wanted to know what his kingdom had, so he could tax the people according to that, what they had. So he wanted to know every single person had how many cows, how many gardens, how many houses, so he could tax everybody based on what they owned. Okay, so his Norman commissioners visited every settlement in England. Just imagine that's more than 13,000 towns and villages in the 11th century. Okay, so this was called the King's Roll, and in a very funny, sarcastic way, the Anglo-Saxons started calling it the Domesday Book. Doomsday is the day of judgment in the Christian religion. The Christians believe that Jesus Christ will come on the day of judgment, okay? When the end of the world is coming, that's going to be the day of judgment. And Jesus Christ will return to the earth, and he will pass judgment on both the living and the dead. This is why the day of judgment. So in a very funny way, the English people were saying that William the Conqueror wants to write down everything so he can pass judgment on the English people. So they use the kind of sarcastic humor to call this book Domesday Book. Okay, today, of course, Domesday Book gives us a fascinatingly clear picture about the 11th century England. So we use it as one of the most detailed history books of this time. Okay, and at that time, Doomsday was written D-O-M-E. It's written differently right now. Okay, so your homework is, please take notes from these sides and learn the new vocabulary. Write it down, please, into your copybook. Vocabulary can always be a question in your upcoming assessment. Read pages 24, 25 in your book and answer questions on page 25. Please send me your answers. I want to see them. We are about to finish the second unit. You're going to have a revision. And after that, hopefully, I'll be able to assess you. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.